Welcome to Chrome on Air. Today we'll be covering how you can maximize the productivity of your end users using the tools provided by Chrome Enterprise. If you're listening to this live and have any questions, please submit them below and we'll be able to answer them live during this session. My name is Fletcher Oliver. I'm a Chrome Browser Customer Engineer and I'm on the Chrome Browser Enterprise team. Our main focus is to make admins' lives as easy as possible when supporting Chrome at enterprise scale. So everyone really gets the value that the browser brings to users. The browser is where most of your end users are doing their work on the day-to-day basis. Supporting remote workers is needed more than ever, as well as the tools to keep them productive. And the policies that are applied really need to consider the balance between productivity and security. So we'll be covering both those subjects here today. So what we are going to be covering is going to be broken into three sections. First is going to be streamlining your browser management, so that way you can support your devices through optimizations as well as supporting your legacy tools. Enabling your users as they work on the web with productivity features directly within Chrome browser, as well as securing your devices through extension management and security features. So let's get started. As an admin supporting your endpoints, you're going to be wearing a lot of hats and have a lot of responsibilities. And supporting your browsers should definitely be one of them. We've created some tools to make your lives easier and spend less time troubleshooting and more time focusing on your own goals, the goals of your team, and the goals of your business. So one of those tools that we've created is Chrome Browser Cloud Management. And this is going to make it so it's going to be easier to manage your Chrome deployments. And this was released in April of last year, being utilized within the console to manage their browser settings, as well as get enhanced visibility into the data that's on those devices, like installed extensions, versions of Chrome, as well as profile information. So this is managed centrally from the cloud. It supports multiple platforms across Windows, Mac, and Linux. And it's the same console where an enterprise can manage other Google services, like Chrome devices and G Suite. The good news is it's not only a free feature, but it's also easy to implement. For your service desk, it's going to be extremely helpful as you'll be able to gain deeper insights into your deployment. Like I said, you'll be able to get enhanced visibility, and we'll go on to the next slide to show you what that looks like. So here's the machine report. Once you've enrolled your devices into Chrome Browser Cloud Management, which is actually done through a token-based enrollment process, so there's no need for your users to sign into Google Identity in order to take advantage of this service. So your users will be able to get their policies pushed down directly from the cloud, and you'll get valuable information about the versions of Chrome that are on your users' machines, profile information, the policies that are applied, as well as extension information. So from a service desk perspective, if a user calls in and states that a specific extension may be causing issues with a third-party tool, your service desk representative would be able to go into Chrome Browser Cloud Management and be able to block that extension directly from the console. Or if your users are reporting that, say, a group policy or a cloud policy may be adversely affecting their work, you'd be able to go into this view and be able to see what policies are applied and then be able to make adjustments accordingly. So shifting gears and moving over to how you can optimize performance on your devices to support Chrome browser and your users better. So we've heard a lot of feedback from our customers on the ability to be able to tweak the amount of memory that Chrome uses. If you keep in mind that Chrome was originally developed for physical machines, so on physical machines, unused memory is wasted memory. However, with more and more users utilizing virtual machines and shared resources, having an application that might take up more memory than you like can be counterproductive. So we've come up with a policy that allows administrators to set the high-level watermark that Chrome should use before tabs are discarded. This is especially useful, like I said, for virtual machines that might have shared resources. So let's go into Chrome Browser Cloud Management and show you how you can set that up. All the things that I'm going to be showing today are supported through group policy as well, but we'll be showcasing them within the console within Chrome Browser Cloud Management. So here within the admin console, I'm going to go over to user and browser settings. And in the search bar, I'm going to type in memory. And there you can see the setting right there. So the default is 1024. However, you can set it to whatever you please. And once Chrome reaches those limits, then it'll start discarding tabs. So if your users are relying on legacy sites in order to get their work done, either in the office or working remote, we have a solution that helps. Having legacy browser support in place will provide your users with a unified process to move from a modern browser to your legacy Internet Explorer sites and then back, without your users having to remember which site needs what browser. So if you have Chrome 74 or higher, this previously required an extension to run. However, that's no longer needed if you're in Chrome 74 or higher. It does require that you install an MSI on the end user's machine to be able to trigger the browser to bounce back from Internet Explorer to Chrome. So once you have this, you're able to set in a specified list of URLs or an IE site list that you may already be maintaining and be able to trigger which websites trigger the transition from Chrome to Internet Explorer. So now let's go back into the admin console and show what that looks like to set up from an administrator's perspective. So here I am again in Chrome Browser Cloud Management, and I browse over to the user and browser settings. At the top, I'm going to go ahead and do a search for legacy, and I'm going to do category contains. And here are all the sections that are needed to enable legacy browser support. I'll go ahead and enable it, and then I'm going to enter in a URL that I've specified needs to run within Internet Explorer in order to function. There's lots of other features and configurations that you can do, but for demo purposes today, we'll just enter in that. Now let's see what this is going to look like from an end user's perspective. So I've entered in a URL, and I've enabled legacy browser support on the machine. So let's see what a user would see. So I'm in my user's machine, and I'm under the policy page, and you can see that the URL that I've entered in has been enabled for that particular user. And I go into add remove programs, and you can see that the legacy browser support MSI has been successfully installed. Then I'll go into the Omni box, and I'll go ahead and enter the site, which I've specified to wait 3 seconds before transitioning. And there you go. There's my legacy website opened in Internet Explorer. And then I click a new tab, and then I go right back to Chrome browser. This really makes it so you're able to support your legacy sites, so that way your users are able to effectively get their jobs done and be able to use those internal resources that may not be ready to be run within a modern browser like Chrome browser. However, also provides the ability for your users to utilize a modern browser to make sure that they have the latest and greatest features, but also enhanced security features that is expected in a modern browser experience. So changing gears, moving over to update controls. We have lots of different update controls that are available from an administrator perspective to be able to control how your users' Chrome browser instances get updated. Now, we always recommend here at Google as a best practice to leave the defaults because the defaults are default for a reason. I know that's a lot of defaults, but we definitely recommend this just because if you have auto update on, then you will know that your Chrome browser instances are always going to be up to the latest and greatest. So that way your users are going to get those best new features, but also its security enhancements to be able to protect their data as they browse on the net. However, there may be a need for some enterprises to control what version your users are on for various reasons. So we recommend that if you do utilize these policies, that you have a plan in place in order to get back to using and utilizing auto update to stay on the latest version of Chrome. So what you're able to do with update controls is be able to pin, say, to a specific version. So if you did have a third-party application that was causing issues with later versions of Chrome, you would be able to pin to that earlier version that still worked. And then if you're able to fix that issue, or if you vetted out a later version of Chrome, you can just increase the version number to update to a later version of Chrome. In addition, if you keep auto update on, you can let auto update push that patch out for you and update to the later version that you've specified. This is a great way to prevent having to package your own updates and reduces the amount of overhead that you might have. We also have the ability to roll back to an earlier version of Chrome and be able to prompt your users to relaunch Chrome so that way it can update successfully. So let's go into Chrome Browser Cloud Management and show from an administrator's perspective what it would look like to set this up. So here I am again in Chrome Browser Cloud Management in the main menu, and I'm going to go over to User and Browser Settings. And in my search bar, I'm going to go ahead and enter that the category contains Update. And here you can see all the different settings that you can put to control how your users update within Chrome browser. So I can put relaunch notifications to prompt users to update, relaunch Chrome to update, as well as I can be able to set the update settings, pin to a specific version, or roll back to an earlier version. So we just provide a lot of different mechanisms so that way you can ensure that your browsers are up to date to a version that's going to work with all of your internal tools so your users can be effective and really minimize the amount of end user impact that's happening within your enterprise. So now I'm going to cover some brand new features that are in Chrome that your users can take advantage of today, as well as some new features that are going to be coming down the line to Chrome Browser Cloud Management. So configuring startup settings is one of the common policies that many enterprises apply. So you're able to really greet your users with the tools that they need to utilize to be able to be effective and productive throughout their day. So you can configure the home page, what the home page is, as well as being able to set the startup functionality as I've set within the screenshot that's included in this slide. So I've specified that I want a few different pages to show up as soon as my users start Chrome browser so that way they can be effective in their workday. So let's go into Chrome Browser Cloud Management and see what it looks like to set up that from an administrator's perspective. So here I am again in the main page of Chrome Browser Cloud Management. I'm going to go over to User and Browser Settings. And then in the search bar, I'm going to type in Startup. And here I am in the Startup section, and I can be able to specify whether I want the user to enable or configure the home button. I'm going to enter in the home page, which I put as google.com, and then the pages that I want to load on startup. So every time my user launches Chrome browser, they'll be greeted with those pages, so that way they can be effective throughout their day, whether they're working from home or they're in the office. Now this next piece is a cool new feature, but it doesn't require any policy to enable it. It's called tab groups. So we've all been guilty of having too many tabs open, and sometimes it can make it hard to know where we even left off in Chrome. So now you can actually color code, label, and do even more just with a right click. So let's see what this looks like in action for an end user. So I'm directly within Chrome, and I have some tabs open. I use a lot more than this, but for demo purposes, we'll just use these ones. And I've created a tab group. And I'm going to give this tab group a name. I'm going to say that this tab group is going to be my docs, my sheets, and my slides. And I can give it a color. And so that way I can know which color is correspond with my specific docs and group. And I'll add some to that group. I also use a lot of music. So I'll label this tab music. And then I have my email and my calendar settings, which I'll add together and group together. And then I'll add it to a new color, a purple color. And once you have them into a group, you can right click to move that tab, say, to a new window. You could be able to remove tabs from it. You can create new groups. You can disband them. There's a lot of different features that you can do there, and really just makes it a lot easier for your users to be productive. So that way they can know where to go next, especially if they have 50 tabs open. So now moving on to improvements, and this is a roadmap item, something that's going to be moving into Trusted Tester later this summer. So this is going to be our managed bookmarks improvements. And we've heard a lot of feedback from enterprises that they wanted to have a more streamlined process to be able to create folder structures and bookmarks for their users. So that way their end users would have effective means to be able to access the sites that they need to get their jobs done. So we're providing a way directly within Chrome Browser Cloud Management in order to enable this. So let's take a look at a preview within Chrome Browser Cloud Management of what this is going to look like when it's released later this year. So I'm here in the user settings in my bookmark setting, and I have some managed bookmarks already set up. So I have my top level group, and I can be able to go and create new bookmarks, create new folders. I can move things up and down. I can edit them. I can select everything underneath it. as well as in the individual bookmarks, I can move them around, move them to specific folders. So it really just provides a nice user interface experience for an administrator to set up, regular bookmarks or even a complicated folder structure for all the sites that your users are going to need to be effective. All right, now we're going to shift gears to securing extensions. And this is a topic that I talk about a lot with enterprises, as a lot of enterprises have a lot of extensions that their users install and really kind of struggle to find out where they should start in order to create a management structure to adhere to those. And really, some of the challenges that enterprises have with extensions is really first having limited visibility into the installed extensions. So knowing what extensions are installed where, who's installed them, as well as what rights they have, can be really difficult to find out. As well as it can be hard to find out what a vetting process looks like on whether they should approve or deny an extension that may be business critical or may just be something that random users are just installing for fun, say. So, as well as it can really be create a large management problem. So that way, not only do they have to maintain large allow or block lists, but also have to constantly figure out ways to be able to discover all this, update those lists, and can really have a lot of overhead. So there's two options that you can use in order to manage extensions effectively. The first is going to be kind of the traditional methods, and this is actually previously what we used internally here at Google, which was allow and block lists. So for allow lists, saying that these are the extensions that we will allow to run, that they've been vetted out by the IT organization and will allow them to be installed, and then the block lists. And these are the extensions that we won't ever allow. So if you put something on a block list, if it's already installed, that extension will be disabled. Or if a user tries to go to the Chrome Web Store and install it, they just will get a block message saying that this extension is not allowed by their administrator. And we previously used to use this, but for all the reasons before, it was kind of difficult to manage this just because the allow and block lists just tended to get quite lengthy and it was a lot of overhead to maintain. So we created and then shifted to what we call enhanced management of extensions. And this is really managing extensions by their behavior. So taking a look at how the extensions function through their permissions or the rights that they need in order to be effectively used. So when a developer creates an extension, they have to declare within the manifest file, which is the file that basically says all the things that extensions need in order to run. They have to declare those permissions. So if you've ever installed an extension and it said, do you want to allow this extension to say, read, write all the websites that you visit? That's a permission. So what we do here at Google and what we recommend as a best practice is to manage by those permissions. So you're able to take information of what permissions or rights that extensions require, need to run, and then vet out from a security perspective on which ones you will or will not allow to run, and then manage by that. So that way you're managing by the behavior instead of the extension itself. As well as on top of managing by behavior or by permissions, we also manage by the sites that the extensions have access to. And this is a runtime host permission, block or allow. So what this does is it provides a lighter touch into extension management. It makes it so your users can install the extensions that they want, but on your most sensitive sites where you might have personally identifying information, or you might have customer information or user information, those extensions just will not work. So we have a lot of different resources out there for both of these extension management styles. So there's white papers, there's blogs, there's videos. So I definitely recommend that you look into those just because they're going to really provide the full picture on all the different options that are out there for managing extensions. And really the first step in order to manage extensions effectively is to be able to know what's out there. And utilizing Chrome Browser Cloud Management, you're able to see visibility into all the extensions that are installed, where they're installed, as well as those permissions or rights that they need in order to run. So once you have your browsers enrolled within Chrome Browser Cloud Management and you have cloud reporting turned on, then you're going to have all that information directly within the console. However, something else that we've developed is a new API for exporting from Chrome Browser Cloud Management. And what this does is provides the ability to export all that data within the console to a CSV file. So you can open that up in Sheets or Excel or whatever tool that you might be utilizing that can accept a CSV format and be able to see all the extensions that are installed, their names, as well as all the details of the permissions that they require to run and more. And then also another feature that's going to be moving into Trusted Tester this summer is our extension workflow feature. And what this does is it provides the ability for your users to have a request and approval process for the extensions that they want to install. So a user would go to the Chrome Web Store normally, like they do today, but when they click on Add to Chrome, it will actually kick off a request process on where you, the administrator, would be able to approve or deny that extension, either based on the amount of requests that you get, whether it's a business critical extension, or whether it meets the criteria that you've set forth, either in the permissions or rights that it requires in order to run. So what this is going to look like in a V1 version of this is that users will be able to request the extension, and then you as an administrator will approve it directly within Chrome Browser Cloud Management. Future versions in V2, V3, and onwards will provide the ability for employees to put a text justification on why they need an extension, as well as provide administrators the ability to provide a reason on why an extension may have been rejected, as well as being able to provide additional API support to export this request process into outside third-party ticketing tools. So now this is what it looks like to set it up within Chrome Browser Cloud Management. So I can see within the extension apps and extension settings, I can be able to go over to the request process and see the amount of extensions that are request, and then I can click on that and hit approve or deny based on whatever reasons and criteria that you've set forth. And then from an end user perspective, they go to the Chrome Web Store and click Add to Chrome, and then it will be able to prompt them to send a request to their administrator to request that extension to be approved or denied. So like we said at the beginning, the service desk and endpoint management is vital to enterprise productivity. And in order to keep your users productive, you're really going to need efficient solutions to the problems that may interfere with their work. So by using these tools provided by Google and Chrome, you can help your service desk and your endpoint management team streamline their processes. So here's some more information on to help you get started. Feel free to take a screenshot of this slide for your reference. And don't forget to register for an upcoming webinar that's going to be occurring on August 19th. Thanks so much for joining, and I hope this has been helpful. Have a wonderful day.